the tri-tip of beef is a wonderful cut. It's wonderful for the grill. Today we don't have a grill, unfortunately, so we're doing a pan sear. It takes the high heat of the grill really nicely. A really cool piece of meat because it will really just take the heat and kind of puff up, and then when it relaxes it becomes tender. It holds all the juices in, and it's not a very common cut, I think, out in the Midwest, but it's used a lot on the coast. California grilled tri-tip is very popular, but I think it's a meat that's up and coming, a new cut. There's always new cuts coming out, so I wanted to go ahead and sample this. And this is from John and Dorothy's farm. It's a dry-aged Highlands cattle. Dry aging process is very important. One of the things it does is, like, you have sun-dried tomatoes, which have a really intense flavor. And the reason why, because all the liquid dehydrates, and the liquid comes out of it, intensifying the flavor. Same thing with the meat. The liquid comes out and the meat becomes very much more intense flavor. It breaks down and becomes more tender, and it has, you can expect 9 to 10% shrinkage on a real dry-aged piece of meat, which that's just going to make more flavor. This is a tri-tip right here. This is an average sample of one. It's a beautiful piece, always comes to a triangle, and you can always tell by the grain and by the muscle. So we're going to take this. It doesn't need a lot of trimming. Again, the fat on here, some of the meats really have to be trimmed. This, I just will take some of the heavier fat off, but other than that, I don't trim it too much more than that. And to trim it, you always use your knife. And you're always, of course, cutting away from yourself. You just want to get right underneath it and just trim it a little bit, and your knife up, and you get a nice clean cut. And that piece has a little bit of meat on it, but it's going to happen to get a little bit of meat if you're not really used to doing a lot of trimming. So a lot of this meat will render off, the fat will render off in the pan, which is nice. Get that up a little bit for a high heat. And a lot of people like to put a lot of different rubs on certain meats, and they like to put their own mixture, and I think it overpowers it. If you have a piece of meat that's this quality, I really believe in just doing salt and pepper. And I don't like to put a lot of other flavors on it. So I want the meat to speak for itself. I don't want to overpower it. If I buy a lesser quality, then yeah, I might need to marinate it and so forth. But I think this piece is excellent just the way it is. And so we're just going to do salt and pepper on it today. And I'm going to take some of the silver skin off the back, and pretty much we'll be ready to go after that. If you have any questions while we're doing this, please feel free to ask. John and Dorothy, they know a lot about the product. I like them to talk about the product. They just installed some new things at the farm that makes it even greener, and it's really nice to know that's not just the quality of the meat, but it's the whole process of the farm and how the meat's how the cattle's taken care of and how it's processed and so forth. So I'm going to let John talk a little bit about it as I get the meat going.
I'm John Frisky from Palm Prairie Farms, and this is my wife Dorothy. Together we have a farm up in Fall River, Wisconsin, about 35 miles northeast of here, and it's called Palm Prairie Inn and Farms. And our farm is named because our township is also Palm Prairie. We have a restored prairie and a restored wetland on our farm. And the meat that Chef Charles is cooking up is a Scottish Highland cattle. It's a heritage breed. They have long hair and 2 layers of hair and long horns. And they're always on grass. Sure. Our beef takes quite a while to mature. It's probably 30 months by the time we harvest the beef. And I like to say that God gave grass roots, and it prefers to stay in one place, and God gave animals legs, and they prefer to move around. So it's a great combination of our cattle harvesting the solar energy. Our whole farm is like a solar collector. The grasses collect the solar energy, and the cattle walk around and do all the harvesting and the fertilizing. So the meat then, the beef is aged similar to an Argentina beef, and then we dry age the beef at our processors for 21 days. That intensifies the flavor, like Chef Charles said, and it helps to break down the meat and tenderize it. I once was invited to a dinner, and it was a wine dinner, and they were talking about the terroir of the wine and how you could tell the different flavors and where the region where the wine came from. And it got me to thinking that no other place in the world will you taste beef like our beef because of the way we raise our animals, the type of terroir that we're working with, the grasses, the type of grasses. It makes it just very, very distinct flavor.
Yeah, it's an excellent beef, and as you can see, one of the things they did is, again, it speaks for itself. It really does. I can't stress that enough. They put a nice caramelization on the outside, a nice crust that's really going to bring the sugars, because meat does have sugar, and that's really what caramelizes. It gives it a nice crust. So I flipped it over and I turned it down a little bit. And again, this is a great piece to do on the grill also, because it does take the heat, but I do like to have a nice crust. It's kind of like the end piece of a prime rib with all the salt and everything on it. That's wonderful. But this is going to be cooked a nice sear, and then we're going to have a nice medium rare beef in the middle. Which is one of the neat things, again, about going to the farmer's market is you can talk to the actual vendors and the producers and the people that know the product, because they're raising it, they're taking care of it. And, you know, John's every week. You can talk to him. There's other vendors up there. There's other meat vendors, produce vendors. Another one of the vendors up there that I like to use is Black Earth Valley Farms, Dan Denis. He specializes in tomatoes during the tomato season, potatoes, spinach, a lot of vegetables, a lot of root vegetables. And so I got fingerling potatoes to go with this dish. I think fingerling potatoes have a nice waxiness to them. Potatoes have different starch levels. You have the russet, think about it when it's russet, so you have a baked potato, it's very loose, very crumbly. You have red potatoes that hold together even better. They're good for like potato salads and for roasted potatoes. These fingerlings have a very nice sweet flavor. And there's probably about, I don't know, 8, 9, 10 different, probably more varieties of fingerlings. These are called red thumbs. Kind of look like a red thumb, I guess, on somebody. But, and they kind of go with their name. They have banana fingerlings. They have all different types of them. Some are colored inside, some are not. But you can take these just as they are and roast them. Salt and pepper and oil them and roast them. Or you can slice them. For today, to make them cook a little faster, we're going to go ahead and slice them. As you can see, I'll take a big one here. And to do these, I'm just going to go ahead and slice them in circles. You can also take them. You can slice the lengthwise across them. It just kind of depends on what you want to do. Because they do hold together very well. One of the things I like to use local products is it's good. it's done fresh. It's not mass produced. They only handle so much. I can tell you many times I've tried to get more pieces of meat from John than he's had available, because he only produces a small amount, where if I go to a larger vendor, they can give me 5,000 New Yorks if I really wanted it, which is so mass produced. So it's a quality control, and the quality of it is there, and also it's a local product. You can talk to them. As far as using produce, you can actually call them and let them know what produce you want to use before the season starts. I just talked to Blue Moon Farms, and they're doing arugula for us this year, and they're planting it just for us. And so you kind of set it up that way, which is, again, is a very nice thing to be able to have that relationship and to talk to the vendors and to, you know, get exactly what you want, and they're producing it, and you can talk to them. And it's a local product. It's greener, of course. It's coming in, and you know where it's coming from. It's close, and it's a fresher product, and it really stands out in your food. It makes your food improve. Okay, so I have the fingerling potatoes in. I just did some oil, some olive oil in there. We're gonna let those saute a little bit. We got some salt and pepper.
Chef Charles, can I say something? The tri-tip originated in California. It's one of 2 pieces of meat on a beef that actually loosens up when you cook it. It doesn't tighten up. If Chef Charles will hold this up, the tri-tip has increased almost again as much as when he started cooking it. Could you maybe show? See how much thicker it got?
It really popped up.
There's over 300 different cuts on a beef, with 1,000 different names for those 300 cuts. So with working with Rachel and Reap in the Buy Fresh, Buy Local program, it's a great education for farmers and chefs to get together to be able to communicate on the type of cuts they're looking for and what they'll be used for. So it gets very complicated with 1,000 different names.
Definitely, and it's kind of it is a fun piece of meat. It's really a new cut. I think it's going to become more and more popular. The potatoes go, and those probably take 5-10 minutes to cook. So go on to that. We're going to do work on a spinach salad to go with it. And the idea behind this dish is something you can do outside on the barbecue. You can do it with the family. And we're going to show this kind of family style and have some samples up for you to grab. And one of the things we're going to make is a roasted garlic vinaigrette, which is really simple, very flavorful, and goes very well with spinach. It's a great compliment. And we're going to take some roasted garlic, which to do the garlic, a lot of people are intimidated by roasting garlic, but one of the easiest ways to do is to peel it, put it in oil, cover it, and let it sit in the oven for a low oven, like 200 degrees for maybe, 45 minutes, 30 minutes. Just kind of check it till it's soft. You want to be soft enough till it's just like, spreading soft butter. You don't want to boil it because then you're going to fry the oil, so you're just more or less poaching it until it's soft. And it gets a nice caramely color. We're going to look at that. And it's just nice, beautiful cloves. We're going to add those to it. And of course I'm going to use the garlic oil that we roasted the garlic in. That's going to give it a lot of flavor also from the garlic. We're going to put this in a container. You can do this in a blender. I'm going to use a hand mixer for it. So I'm going to put the garlic down as a base. Keep these moving in the pan. We get a little color on them, but we don't want to get too much color. And these potatoes, again, will just hold up really nicely and be a nice flavor. We're going to take some chives. And we're just going to blend these right in. And so it's not too strong with the chives. We're going to actually add some parsley also. Parsley is a nice neutral flavor. We'll add color. The chlorophyll in it's very nice, and will make the color stand out. If you do all chives, it will be a little strong, so that's why we're not going to add straight chives. I like to use honey as a sweetener. Whenever I do vinaigrettes, I think honey adds a lot of floral flavor, especially the local honey. It adds, it's more than just sugar. It's really another depth, adds another level to any vinaigrettes or anything you're making with trying to sweeten. So I have a little bit of honey in there. Take a little bit of white balsamic vinegar. In white balsamic, really one of the main differences between white and dark is it's not aged as long. When they make the dark balsamic, they leave the skins on. So this, they take the skins off, just like making white wine. They'll take the skins off, and they'll let the wine go ahead and produce, and it turns out to be a white wine. Same thing with the balsamic. So then I'm just going to go ahead and blend this together, real simple vinegar. And we're going to make a sauce out of it. And I'm going to add some of the garlic oil. Just going to add a nice, again, a little more depth of flour or flavor. Add some salt, some pepper. We're going to go ahead and blend it. And you see it start to emulsify and come together really nicely in the container. And we have a nice green color with it. And you can do any kind of vinaigrette with this. I mean, like I say, it's something that's fresh, something that's quick and simple, as you can see. And it might work a little better in a blender, to tell you the truth. It's taking a little bit longer. And then we're going to dress this with spinach. This can go with other ingredients more than spinach. It can go with mixed greens, go with arugula. The spinach we're using is, again, it's a local spinach from Black Earth, and they really grow it outside. You can see a difference in the stems. A lot of spinach, you don't want to use the stems. They're kind of flavorless. They're kind of like paper. But the stem that we have here, the spinach we have here, you can see it's very, it's got a lot of texture to it. It's nice, it's hardy, it's not going to fall apart. It does have the stems on it, and I think the stems are one of the better parts of it. The stems will have a lot of sugar. The sugar rolls up through the spinach, and that's how it gets its sweetness. And as the plant struggles, that's why a lot of winter spinach comes out, fall spinach, because it lasts really well. And the more abuse the plant takes, actually the natural sugar in the spinach will come out, and it's really the food. So it really pushes it out, kind of like trimming trees, where it's going to put the energy in another place. So we have, so that's why with the winter spinach, you see it, summertime as it goes away, it does not like the heat a bit. So we're going to take our spinach right now. We're going to put it in the bowl, and I'm going to leave the leaves whole, just because I do think it's nice to have the whole leaf. Instead of having it cut, and once you cut it, it starts to lose its flavor. We're going to pour some more vinaigrette over it. And we're just going to simply toss it. Toss it in the bowl. And just nice and gently. And one thing I don't think people do, which they should, is I think they should always season their salads, because I mean the lettuce has to be seasoned. The vinaigrette might be perfect, but once you put it on the lettuce, it's going to lose its flavor. So you always want to season your lettuce in your salad also. Take this. Put it on the plate. And that's how simple a spinach salad can be. This is going to go with the potatoes. That's going to go with the beef. Now normally I like this beef to sit and rest a little bit longer. But it's a good idea. A lot of people want to take their beef right when it's out of the oven. They want to cut it. They want to eat it, especially with roast. And that's one of the things you generally don't want to do, just to the fact that when you cook the meat, the whole piece of muscle does tense up. And so all the fibers in the meat are tense. As it cools and relaxes off the heat, all the juices go back into the meat. So if you ever had a steak where you take off the grill or a piece of meat or a roast, you cut it right away, it bleeds out all the blood. Before you know it, it's looks well done. So letting the meat rest. I mean, a piece like this, 5 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes. A prime rib, I'd rest it 20, 30 minutes, if not longer. And the longer that you do roast it or let it rest, the more it will distribute and it'll be more of an even cut of meat, and then it will stay juicier and a little redder. So I'm going to take this tri-tip. Another thing with tri-tip, it has a grain in it. By a grain, you'll see it looks like it's a grain. It looks like the way, almost like hair almost. But you always want to cut across it. So you cut across it and that cuts it and makes it a little more tender. Which I do like. It's not a real piece of meat you want to overcook. We're going to lay it out. We're going to take some more fingerling potatoes. We're going to go with it. And if I was outside on a nice summer day barbecuing, this would be a great meal to have. And one of the things I think does go well with potatoes, spinach, and beef is blue cheese. So we have some, which is kind of unique. It's cheese milk. And for that, we're just going to take crumbles. Actually, it's probably better to use your hands. It's a very soft cheese, a very spreadable cheese. And again, it interacts very well with everything on the plate. It kind of ties it all together and gives it a little unity. So there's our Fountain Prairie tri-tip of beef with our roasted fingerlings and our roasted garlic spinach salad. Is there any questions? One of the things I like to use local products is it's good. It's done fresh. It's not mass produced. They only handle so much. I can tell you many times I've tried to get more pieces of meat from John than he's had available.